Now, quick disclaimer before we begin, guys. Don't forget to stay hydrated. Our body is made up of 70% water, which means our muscles are in fact made 70% of water, meaning hydrated muscles are happy and flexible muscles.
Hi guys, welcome to the very first day of our front split 7-day challenge. I'm so excited to be starting off the day or the week with you guys on a Sunday. I'm super happy for you guys to join me. So anyways, today's video is going to be focusing primarily on hamstrings. We're going to be kind of focusing on one muscle group per day so that the next day after we work that muscle group and stretch it out, it has a day to relax. So we kind of build up to our splits. Feel free to do any of these days more than one time in a row if you didn't feel like you got the full stretch. By all means, you can also do this whole routine all over again, but I would definitely recommend not doing splits every single day if you are not down yet. Try to do your splits 2 or 3 times in a week, and we'll be doing that. So today we will not be going straight into the splits because it's the first day. Tomorrow we'll be trying our first day of splits. So the very first exercise we're going to be starting with is a bridge on our back. So roll out your mat. Let's get started. We're going to meet on our backs. So like I mentioned before, we're going to be focusing on hamstrings, and that's primarily because when you're in the splits, you're stretching your hamstrings. Now, the front hamstring is actually the one that's being stretched. The back hamstring isn't, but we want to get our splits on both legs, not just the one. So we're going to be stretching both. All you need today is a block and a TheraBand or a towel if you do not have a TheraBand. So let's get started with some bridge work today. So if you have your yoga block, go ahead and grab it. We can use it as an extra challenge if you don't want to challenge yourself too much today. If you are just starting off fresh as a beginner, don't bother with the block for today. You can always incorporate it later. So I'll show it with and without the block. The first option is without the block that I'll show. We're just going to be doing some basic bridges on our back. So feet flat on the floor. They should be close enough to your body that you can tickle the back of your heels. We're going to inhale here, pressing our back flat on the floor. Exhale, we're going to peel off from our sacrum, squeezing our buttocks here. So even before you start your bridge, feel that. Make sure that your butt is engaged. Poke it even and make sure that it is engaged and it's not loose and floopy. So you're going to squeeze your butt, start to lift from your sacrum or your pelvis, and you're going to peel off vertebrae by vertebrae. You're going to either stay here, and we're going to hold it for 5 counts, or you're going to lift your heels and lift your arms as another challenge. Or if you're working with the block today, in the very beginning, you're going to be starting with the block in between your knees, squeezing the blocks. You're also working on your inner thighs, which we also need to stretch in splits. So let's get started, guys. Take your variation, whatever you're taking today, whether it's without the block or with the block, doesn't matter to me, whatever that you feel comfortable with. Listen to your body. So first things first, setting up, heels are close enough that you can tickle it with your fingers. On the inhale, we reach our whole back along the floor. Exhale, peeling, squeezing our glutes, touch them, make sure that they're squeezed, and then we peel off. We're lifting either our heels or lifting just our glutes, and we hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering down through each vertebrae, not clunking down through each vertebrae, engaging your core on the way down here. So it's active. Good. Let's do that 3 more times, guys. Inhale, reaching your whole back along the floor, pressing it on the floor like you're making a painting with your back. Exhale, peeling off from your glutes first, lifting either just your hips or your heels as well, and your arms, whichever you're doing today. We hold it for 5. We hold it for 4. We hold it for 3. We hold it for 2. We hold it for 1. Exhale, we're gonna peel down through our vertebrae, not your butt first hitting the floor. Each little vertebrae hits the floor first. We do that, I think I said 3 more times, 2 more times. Inhale, press our back along the floor. Exhale, peeling off, lifting, let's speed it up a bit for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly lowering down. We go right away. Inhale, press your back on the floor. Exhale, peeling off for 5, for 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Slowly lowering down through each little vertebrae. Good. Take the block from out between your knees. Give yourself a hug. We're going to roll our knees out and around. That was just a little activation exercise to make sure our muscles are warm. I hope you guys did the warm-up beforehand. If you didn't, pause this video right now and go check out in the description box as well as the cards up above. So making little circles with our knees. Next, we're gonna do some leg circles that are active. So they're a little bit tricky, but they're also really good for us. So if you have ankle weights, feel free to put them on as well. Keeping one foot flat on the floor, or you can stretch it if you're more advanced, but I'm gonna keep it flat on the floor to show you guys. We're gonna flex our foot up. We're gonna open it to the side as we exhale and make a big, wide ellipse shape all the way to the ground, hovering off the floor, and bring it back up. So we're essentially making an ellipses or a circle around with our leg. We're gonna do it 10 times. Let's get started together. We do 10. We do 9. We do 8. We do 7, making sure your hips aren't wiggling. 6. And 5. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Quick note here, guys, make sure that you're not rotating your leg within your hip socket because we're working in a closed split today. We're not doing open splits. Closed splits are making sure that our hips are square. We're not opening them like this, nice and closed, so that we gain more flexibility in our hip flexors. Let's do the second side, the same thing. So make sure you have space. And we do 8. I lied, we do 10. We do 10, same thing with the other leg. 9, going out, down and up. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4, make sure your legs and hips aren't wiggling. 3. And 2. And 1. Good, guys, give yourselves a hug. We're going to extend one leg onto the floor, hugging your knee into our chest, warming up that hip socket. You can circle it around a little bit to make it dynamic so it's not just static. Hug it in nice and deep, and then switch legs. Hugging your knee into your chest, keeping your hip flat on the floor, and we're gonna just roll it in circles a little bit. Good. Now, if you have a TheraBand nearby, go ahead and put it on your foot. Grab some water too if you need some water. You're gonna grab the TheraBand underneath your foot, either keeping your knee bent here, if that is your flexibility today, or you can extend that leg at the bottom here and pull your leg closer. Now keep a micro bend in your knee here. You don't want to hyperextend it and lock into your knee joint here to protect your hamstring and knee. You want to keep a micro bend and keep your foot as flexed as you can. You'll get a deeper stretch that way. Now what we're going to do here, guys, laying on our back, we're going to push the band away or towel, whatever you're using. So we're actually using the muscle against the band. We're going to hold it for 5, 4, feeling the muscle and cramp, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to release, and you'll notice you're getting a little bit deeper. Again, if your knee's bent here, that is totally fine. Just make sure you're not lifting your pelvis off the floor. Let's do that 2 more times on this side. Pushing against the band for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing it. See, you get a little bit deeper each time. 1 more time. We push it against for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release it. Good. Let's switch sides, do the exact same thing on the second side, either our foot flat on the floor, if this is enough of a stretch for you. But again, you're also listening to your body. So if you're doing this and you're feeling no stretch, there's a reason, because if you're like this and your form is completely chaotic, you're definitely not going to get the benefits of the stretch. So whatever you need today, keeping your knee bent or straight, keeping your hips square in good form. We push away for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let it release. We do it again for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Last time for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. Now the reasoning we did that, guys, is called post-isometric release. So essentially when you work a muscle, it can stretch a little bit more afterwards. So we just do that very quickly. Next thing, we're gonna be doing some lunges. So go ahead and get started by going onto your hands and your knees, tucking your toes under to our downward facing dog, stretching our hamstrings that we just worked a little bit. You can take your hips from one side to the next, pressing your hands firmly into the floor, lift your heels up, Getting deeper, maybe walking your hands a little bit closer to get closer to your hamstrings, and place your heels down. Good, guys. Breathe here for 2 more counts. One more breath. Good. Now walking your hands towards your legs. We're going to do a couple forward folds before we go into our lunge series. Shake your head, yes. Shake your head, no. Now bend your knees. Grab the back of your calves. You're going to try to keep your chest on your thighs when you stretch your hips to the ceiling. So try to keep your chest on your thighs. So if you go like this, you're not going to get the benefit of your stretch. You're just going to strain your lower back. So if this is where you are today, bend your knees as much as you can. You can even grab a wall or a chair. And what you're going to want to do is keep your back flat so that you can sit your hip bones up and actually tilt your pelvis a little bit so you can get the benefit of the stretch in your hamstrings. So we bend and we stretch, sit your hip bones up, stay closer to your thighs. Let's do that 2 more times, bending your knees and stretch. Last time, bending your knees, keeping your back flat and stretch. Good, walk your hands forward into our downward facing dog. We're gonna step or slide 1 foot forward into our lunge. Now here, guys, place your back knee down on the floor. Place your hands on your front knee in your lunge. You want to make sure that your hips are facing the front and square so that you're not practicing an open split. We're practicing a closed split today. Good. Now to stretch out our hamstring really, really nicely, we're going to flex our front foot. Sit your hips halfway back. Walk your hands closer to your leg and walk your nose to your shin. Good. Keeping your hips really square. Try to rotate that back hip forward so you're not open like this. You'll get a better stretch in your hamstring. And let's go forward to release it a bit. We'll do that 2 more times. Sitting back as you exhale, keep your nose moving towards your shin, not your knee. Lengthening your spine. And shifting forward, we do that 1 more time, shifting your hips back. Nose moves towards your shin. And shift forward, tuck your toes under, send your hips up into your downward dog, step back with your other foot. Now we're gonna switch legs, step your other foot forward to a high lunge, keeping your hips square here. And once you find your high lunge is in a good starting position, place that back knee down. You're gonna put your hands on your front knee, keeping your hips square, getting deeper into the lunge. Now place your hands back down, sit your hips halfway back, flexing your front foot, reaching your nose towards your shin. And shifting forward. Shift your hips back again, nose towards your shin. Shifting forward, we do it 1 more time, shifting your hips back, flexing your front foot really, really well. Not a half flex, a full flex. Nose towards your shin. And shift forward, tuck your toes under, send your hips up, step back into your downward facing dog 1 more time. Keep your feet together this time. A little bit of a different stretch than a regular downward dog where our feet are more than hip width apart or hip width apart. Now keep your feet together. Walking your hands closer towards your feet in a full forward fold. If you can't do this, you can by all means sit down or you can grab a chair in front of you. Just make sure you're not locking into your knees. You're keeping a slight bend all the time. Good. And let's go down all the way. Little counter stretch. Walk your hands forward, untuck your toes, keep your hips low, and either looking up into a cobra stretch or into a sphinx just to stretch out your low back the opposite way. Good, guys. Sit your hips back to a child's pose. Very last pose we will do for our hamstrings is a triangle pose. So standing up once you're ready, grab some water if you need to. We're gonna stand up with our feet close together. We're gonna step forward about 3 or 4 feet. Really wide stance, keep your hips square here. Inhale up. Exhale, we're gonna reach forward first, keeping our hips square, and then we're gonna fold forward. We're gonna flex our front foot here. We're gonna rise with our back heel off the floor. Raise your back heel off the floor. I can't talk anymore. Keeping your knees straight, you're engaging your back quad, flexing your front foot. You should feel a really nice deep stretch here. And why don't we bend that back knee, getting deeper into that front leg. Good, straighten that back knee, put that heel down, keep that front foot flexed. And let's switch sides by sitting back up again. You can Use the wall to stand up, bending your front knee maybe and stepping forward. Now take a step back, step forward with your other foot, 3 or 4 feet. Rising your arms up to the sky, inhale up, flipping your hips to face forward. And exhale, fold forward halfway here. An active position here. So you're actually using your quads, you're using your glutes here to stay balanced. And then put your hands down, flex your front foot, rise your back heel off the floor. And bend your back knee. Good, straighten that back knee, put that heel down, keep that front foot flexed, nose moves towards your shin, get closer, get closer, get closer. And step forward. We're gonna sit all the way down, guys. Very last stretch. Grab the tops of your feet. You're gonna keep your knees bent towards your chest, and you're gonna slide your heels away from you in a forward fold, keeping your back lengthened. So you're not going like this. You're keeping it lengthened. So make sure that you can actually slide your heels. If you're on a mat, you might want to inch forward or get your mat out of the way. Again, grabbing your front toes. Inhale, reach your spine taller towards the ceiling. Exhale, sliding forward, keeping your chest on your knees. If this is as far as you can go today, that is fine. If you can go further, try to go further, keeping your chest on your knees. And then relax into it, into your full forward fold. Keeping your feet flexed. Good. Actively try to pull your toes closer towards you, keeping a micro bend in your knees still. Good. And slowly roll up. Shake out your hand, shake out your head. Why don't we take one heel on top of our knee, one knee on top of our heel, just to stretch our glutes a little bit. And switch sides. Awesome. Well, that was it for our hamstring activation / stretch today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll be focusing on some other muscle groups. So see you guys tomorrow.